So what's the plot of the first Back to the Future movie?
Back to the Future, and this is for those who were listening. Tune in to Ricky and Wolfman, and we're gonna have part 1 up there, part 1 of 3, and we're gonna go through it. But the basis of the movie is going back in time to make sure that his father marries his mother, and the way that he does that is he screwed up at first and he got involved when he shouldn't have gotten involved, and it altered that time continuum.
Well, it's an interesting take, certainly, and it is part of the plot, but the more important thing is the name of the movie itself. He has to get back to the future.
Yeah.
The problem he has is
What
that,
future?
well, there's what future, if any, but if he doesn't screw up and disrupt grandfather paradox, negate himself from existence, he has the problem of what? Power constraints.
Power, yes.
Doc Brown had to hustle plutonium to get his temporal displacement off the ground. Plutonium's not something you buy in a vending machine. It's quite costly, and it produces a high yield of energy.
So he had to steal it from Soviets.
Yes, that's what he claims, but the most important part is not the plutonium. The most important part is the energy requirement.
Yeah.
Because it leads us into the next plot. How would Marty have gotten plutonium in 1955? Or whatever year it was that he was transported to.
He couldn't. That wasn't available. That didn't exist. However, he had to come with another alternative plan with Doc Brown.
Yes, it was a plan involving a lightning bolt.
A lightning bolt. A lightning bolt that hit the clock tower.
And someone knew exactly when that lightning bolt struck. And they put it in the newspaper, which is a timeless artifact. Now that newspaper, they were able to see the date, see the published time when the lightning bolt appeared. And therefore they were able to harness that lightning bolt's energy, which was a surrogate for the plutonium. Now, nuke power is big power. But if you had the ability to know, this is the subtext of the story. See, they built very well when they built movies.
When you let me talk about a lightning bolt for a second. When you have a lightning bolt, it could either strike somebody dead. That's one thing. It can either knock somebody out that they'll have psychic ability afterwards, or two, something could disappear.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a high yield of energy. I'm not exactly sure. A lot of that stuff has to do with consciousness and various other factors, but as a power supply, if he didn't know that the lightning would strike that tower at that time, what would he have been able to do about his problem?
If you had to do something about the problem, you'd have to go forward to Back to the Future 3. If he's in the past and he can't get the lightning tower, you'd have to use the railroad.
Yes, I know. The thing is that in that day and age, the railroads were too busy.
Yes.
In the 50s. So he would never have been able to conduct the experiment. He would have been doing that on federal land.
Yeah.
So the railroads are not an option. But what I'm asking you is, without knowing when the lightning would strike, how would he get back to the future?
That's a good question.
It's a very simple question. Very simple. He would not be able to get back to the future ever if he didn't know when that lightning was going to strike, where it was going to strike.
No.
Because he would not have been able to harvest the energy necessary.
Timing is everything.
Yes, but especially being able to tap into that energy source. Now that means you ask the next logical question. Well, who would know? Because they ask it in the movie. How do you know where lightning's going to strike? How would you know? In that instance, they had a holographic record. It's going to strike the tower at this such and such time. So they were able to harvest that energy. The subtext behind this is, if you had weather control, you would know where the lightning is going to strike. So if you built lightning towers and dynamos and batteries and ways to catch the lightning, and you could control weather, you could power your cities off the atmosphere of the planet. And you wouldn't need coal. That's the implication. So if they ever came up with weather control...
I just got chills for a second.
Yeah, man.
I was thinking of Doc Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking at the time he was a scientist and he was doing experiments and everything else.
Mm.
It's possible he could have done an experiment that could have generated lightning at that specific time. Even though it wasn't mentioned in this movie, he could have done it. Because he had the technology and he had the know-how.
Well, I don't know if he had weather control technology, but he had technology to harvest lightning, which means that the harvesting of lightning is not... I mean, the flux capacitor got powered by the lightning in that fusion collector.
And he knew if the flux capacitor came to him at that given time, he knew how to generate that amount of electricity.
He knew how to best use it. He knew it would take a certain power supply.
Yes.
But the point is weather control equals clean energy. Weather control equals perpetual energy. Because if I build a giant lightning rod in a valley, and I can make lightning storms happen there all day long, then I can power whatever I want off the lightning, because I'll know where the storms are. So that's the key behind this weather manipulation angle, is if they ever did know how to use weather control, would they ever tell us? And the answer is probably not, because it would change the economy. You follow me?
I follow you.
Yeah, so that's my 2 cents. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that was a pretty interesting discussion. This is Spiritus Holographica on the Joseph Vivaldi Network. I am Ricky Bearhart here with my friend Joseph Vivaldi, and we're talking about... I'm here with my friend Wolfman, and we're talking about all kinds of interesting stuff. But I'm an ambassador from another network. I'm from the Oak and Us Network. And on the Oak and Us Network, we have a bunch of channels. Oakwood Game Design, Oakwood's Eternity, Quantum Posey, Oakwood Game Design is about just that. We're designing a role-playing game and a unique version of chess. We'll soon have episodes experimenting on that. Oakwood's Eternity is a channel meant for the audiobooks, the writings of Richard Andrew Olcus. And there's going to be some audiobooks on there pretty soon, at least one. And then we have Quantum Posy, which is both the poetry of Richard Andrew Olcus and the spoken word talent of Richard Andrew Olcus from his past. There's religious channel, spiritual channel, a paranormal channel, the Oakenus Network, creative baptism for every day. The Oakenus Network features the writings of Richard Andrew Olcus, and check it out on Spreaker.com.
Very good. Very good. Good stuff.
Yeah, dig it.
I'm Wolfman Joe, and I'm going to plug the writings of Joseph Evaldi. He's a known writer. He's been in print since 2013, and I'm going to just mention a few books. One book I'm going to start out with is The Soul Warrior's Journey. That's his novel. It's got a brand new cover, and it wasn't necessarily plugged before in the past, but big things are coming about it. An audiobook is coming later on in this year, and it should be good. Also, Kindle Your Writing, How to Make an Amazon Kindle Book Great. It's available on Audible by Joseph Evaldi. It's a book that teaches you step by step on how to make a Kindle book great and your steps that you need to take, and also how to go about advertising it afterwards. And the last book that I'm mentioning, I know it's not Christmas season yet, but I'm going to get an early start to it. And I'm going to mention the book that I wrote, that I should say Joseph Evaldi wrote many years ago, and it was a book called Finding Christmas, the Story of Joseph. It is where he runs into this guy named Chris, and he grants him 3 wishes, and from that, Joseph follows a path after meeting with this guy Chris, who talks about religious matters such as the story of Joseph after that. It's a very good book. It's available on paperback, Kindle, and Audible.
Right on.
Okay, we're back, and now it's time to talk about a topic that we started the podcast with, and I'm going to repeat. In 1620, the Mayflower departed from Plymouth, England. The ship arrived at Provincetown, Massachusetts on November 21st, and then at Plymouth, Massachusetts on December 26th. There were 102 passengers on board. And I mentioned in the beginning of the show what would have happened if the natives didn't help them when they arrived. And Ricky Bearhart.